Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
That was a pretty good football game, no? We'll recap last night's FCS championship, plus the Bison men sit atop the Summit League standings. Dave Richman joins us to chat about that. Hot Mic starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the Irony edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. The day after the day. We're waking up this morning. For those of you that follow FCS football, the new champions reign in Bozeman, Montana, where apparently we've got a section of fans that watch the show, so I'm sure they're very excited this morning after what happened last night in Nashville, Tennessee. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic on a Tuesday. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. We'll spend an extensive part of our show here to start, certainly on what happened last night for the national championship. First time ever that we get a overtime game to decide it. That's pretty darn good. Had a crowd of over 24,000. Largest crowd since 1996 to see an FCS title game. That's pretty darn good. And I have to imagine, we'll find out probably later today, around lunchtime or a little later, that the eyeballs on this were awfully darn good as well. Last year, the Bison Montana State game got about 2.5 million to watch on ESPN. It peaked late in the game with about 3 million. And that game was a 3-point game. Here you had a tie game that goes to overtime. And this was something I was visiting about with the NCAA when I was in Nashville over the weekend. That asking about the future of keeping this Monday night time slot, knowing full well that they don't have any of the cards. The CFP controls all this. And if they decide to expand, then who knows what the dates are going to look like. Everything could be different in 2027. That they said ESPN certainly knows what they have with FCS football, that it's all drawn by the fact, hey, we have a competitive game, if people will stop on it or word of mouth, and certainly you had all of those factors last night, that if you stopped on the game, A, because there was no other football going on last night, or B, you heard, hey, on social media, the game is pretty good, or C, you had some sort of rooting interest in it. You had all the factors last night for a potential ratings bonanza. We'll see. Trying to capitalize off of what they had in the Brawl of the Wild, the Super Brawl. The second one got nearly 3 million people to watch. So there's some momentum here. A couple things before we dive into this. First, can't be more excited for Brent Vigen. I've known Vigs for 20 years since I got here. I was there, as many of you were, when the game a couple years ago, which ended ironically in the same score of last night, he was about as gutted as you could be. And then that game in Bozeman when the Bison blocked the extra point to win the game in overtime. And last year, I thought it was even more of a gut punch when we were in Frisco with a team that was a super team. They were unbeaten. Everybody thought that was the year that Montana State was going to win the championship. And I distinctly remember Vieg saying in the postgame that apparently we have more lessons to learn before we're going to win this thing. That I couldn't be more geeked about for him personally. Seeing him, I got to visit with his one of his sons and Jake before Saturday's media availability. You could tell they were cautiously optimistic, but Vigs he plays it close to the vest. You'll see that in the press conference here after the highlights of the game. Second, I've known Brock Spack for a long time. I've gutted for him as well. It was Spack's birthday yesterday, so I thought everything was aligning that they were going to get this done. And there are going to be a couple of plays that are going to be talked about for a long, long time in Bloomington Normal on how that played out. But the ultimate gut punch, however you want to describe it, cut is that Illinois State has played twice in the championship game and lost those games by a combined 3 points. I mean, come on. They lost by 2 to the Bison in 2015, and they lost by 1 last night. It's just... And it played out... The game is played out almost identical to what happened here. Outside of the crazy interceptions, I mean, Montana State got up by a couple touchdowns. They're up by a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Does that sound familiar of what happened here? The same thing. And yet, the Redbirds were right there with a chance to win it. Let's show you the extensive highlights from the game last night in case you want to see it again or if you missed it or in case you just want to enjoy one more game of FCS football at First Bank Stadium, which did an amazing job. Amazing job. Bobcats would score first on this Justin Lamson touchdown run. The transfer from Stanford, who they got late in the offseason, was brilliant all year. 7-0 Cats. Same score into the second. Lamson calls his own number again. Scores his second touchdown of the game from 2 yards out. All rolling here. It's 14-0 Montana State. Illinois State couldn't do anything offensively. They finally got something to happen late in the first half. Again, where does that sound familiar? Tommy Rittenhouse to Scotty Preston for a touchdown. Remember, they scored that touchdown right before the half against the Bison. Cut it to 21-14. It was a huge deal. Here it's 14-7. But Montana State, right before the half, all they need is 3 plays. Dane Steele leaps over a guy, dives for a touchdown. In 3 plays, they go 75 yards. That's a phenomenal play. Even Veeks was fired up on that one. It's 21-7. But Illinois State comes back here midway through the third quarter. Their time-eating drive. Victor Dawson fumbles the ball. Logan Brassfield, though, number 7, the big offensive lineman's got it. It's a touchdown for Illinois State. Watch again. Dawson, the Cincinnati transfer, fumbles it there at the 1. Johnny on the spot, though, is Brassfield is covering up, so it's 21-14. Same score. You knew Taco Dowler was going to make a play. This is sensational. In for the diving touchdown. 28-14. Bobcats. Again, 3 minutes to go, third quarter. They're up by 2 scores. Hammerlock coming down. Illinois State says, They come right back down the field to start the fourth quarter. We hadn't heard from Sobkowitz yet because Montana State was putting 8 guys on him, but he scores there. His 8th touchdown caps off a 15-play, 8-minute drive. It's 28-21. Redbirds get the football back. They force Montana State to a 3-and-out. Watch this from Dylan Lord. The redshirt freshman goes through about 8 guys to score a tremendous touchdown. And the Redbirds have tied the game up with 5 minutes to go. That's a fabulous play. Lord had an unbelievable game last night. Now, Montana State, another 3-and-out. Redbirds get the ball back. How do you get Lord open there? It goes for 33 yards. The Redbirds are in business. They decide to kick a field goal, and it's blocked. With a minute to go, they drain the clock down. Montana State, though, blocks the field goal and keeps the game tied at 28. You can see how furious Rittenhouse was. Now, Montana State's got a chance, but on 3rd and 9, here's disaster because they couldn't snap the ball last night. They had 9 false starts. There they lose 22 yards. So we go to overtime. Illinois State gets the ball first. Lord's unbelievable night continues. He scores the touchdown. It's 34-28. But again, disaster on special teams because the extra point is blocked. Where have you heard that before? So it remains 34-28. So now Montana State gets the football on 4th and 10. Lamson to Dowler for a touchdown. Illinois State brought the house. They couldn't get to him. So Miles Sandstead from Alexandria, Minnesota, that's Vegan's nephew, kicks the extra point and delivers the national championship to Montana State. Its first title in 41 years in an absolute thriller, classic, however you want to phrase it. The Cats win it 35-34. Rittenhouse goes for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was great last night. Look at Dylan Lord, 13 for 161. I got a vote. I voted for him even a losing effort. I thought he was tremendous at 2 touchdowns in the game for Illinois State. Dowler goes for 8, 111, and a touchdown for Montana State. Afterwards, the emotion overflowing on both sides.
When things aren't going your way, you got to play the next play. You got to believe. I don't think our guys ever lost belief. That wasn't maybe how we had scripted it, but we found a way. And that's been the nature of this team all year. Couldn't be more proud of them. Plenty of things to fix, but we'll figure that out on the other side. Well, Bobcats from all the generations are a part of this. The teams that have preceded have built us to this point, and this group wanted to finish up for all of them. So it's amazing. This crowd is amazing. All us Bobcats are champions.
For all that we've done, since really sitting up on this same podium, not the same exact podium, but the one in Frisco about a year ago, and that belief that maybe pulled us through doesn't come easy, our players in their constant work and their constant wanting to be coached. I can't say enough about just their mindset, and then putting a new coaching staff together, and that group coming together and figuring it out, and continuing to find ways to put our guys in the best position on Saturdays, and in this case on Monday.
If you followed our season, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was rocky at times. Sticking to our roots and sticking to blue collar mentality and breathing. Coach Herron does a really good job of taking us through breathing exercises to be calm from top down. I mean, good men in this program, and I think that's the game today is a testament to the good men in the program, and I couldn't be prouder of the guys.
The worst part's going back into the locker room and then seeing the seniors. It's awful, honestly. Every year sucks, but it gets worse and worse every year because you know the guys more and more. And then not to finish the goal and go back in there and see those guys, it breaks your heart. So it's tough. It's tough.
I'm very proud of our team, the way we competed. Didn't expect anything less than them. Just couldn't find one more play, and we needed to make one more play in order to win it. But when you look at a game, it's a 1-point loss like that. There's probably 10, 15, maybe even 20 plays in the game. If you just make one of them, you win it. And weren't able to do that. We came up a little short, but I'm just really proud of our team. They've fought through a lot, and to get here, heard a lot about how the Cinderella thing. I think this is a really good football team, and just really proud of them and the leadership of these guys next to me and throughout our team used all year.
Just an unbelievable football game played last night. All right, there's a couple plays here. I want to go back to the end of the fourth quarter, obviously where Illinois State is moving the football. These are the plays that set up right before the blocked field goal. So Montana State goes 3 and out. Illinois State defense is playing lights out. Where have you heard that before, right? They punt it. ISU takes over at its own 34-yard line. First down, Victor Dawson goes for 3. After that, that's the big play we showed you to Lord that goes for 33 yards to the Montana State 41. That takes us down to the 2-minute timeout. Right, so okay, 2 minutes to go. You've got all your timeouts. You are in beautiful shape here. Now you've got Michael Costantino is your new kicker, and Spack tried to explain last night on how he gets the ball up quicker than the previous kicker. First down, they run it with Dawson for 4 yards. Montana State calls timeout. 2nd and 6, 1 yard gain. Montana State calls timeout. 3rd and 5, Rittenhouse calls his own number, nearly gets the first down, dives for it, comes up a yard short. So it's 4th and 1 at the Cats' 21-yard line. At this point, you have all the momentum in the game, right? Montana State is clearly on its heels. They are getting blown off the ball. Montana State defense has been out there for, I think at that point, it was 76 plays. Where does that sound familiar, by the way? Everything was so strikingly similar of the game that happened here. To me, that's the most egregious where you can second guess, in my mind. You have all the momentum in the world. You have played aggressive the entire tournament, right? The game here, they went for it. I don't know, how many times did they go for it on 4th down? Sometimes they got it, sometimes they didn't. Obviously, they went for the 2-point conversion. To me, that seems like a no-brainer. You've got regardless of what ended up happening, I take that out of the equation. You are dominating the line of scrimmage. You can get a yard. Somehow, Rittenhouse can get one, Dawson can, Lord, Sopkowitz, somebody can get a yard for you there. To me, that screams second-guessing there. And that's clearly, Spack's going to have to live with that one because what the outcome that came after it was disastrous. And frankly, that one never had a chance. The blocked field goal, Montana State guy came off the edge, blocked that, and heck, they got it all the way to the Redbird 45. And then you're thinking, okay, Montana State gets 15 yards, you got a chance at a game-winning field goal. That's how crazy the end of regulation was. That's the first thing that comes to mind. The second is on the game-tying touchdown. Spack brought the house, and I don't think you necessarily had to on 4th and 10, knowing you're going to have man-to-man coverage on the outside. And Taco Dowler is nearly impossible to stop on that. And Lampson, who said it after the game, couldn't see, got hit, threw it up there. Dowler, of course, makes a play, ties the game, and ends up winning it on the extra point there. That, to me, I'm not sure if you needed, because they were been aggressive all night of blitzing there. I'm not sure they had to do that on that particular play either. As it turns out, those, and Spack said it there and you heard it, those aren't the two plays that lost in the game. There were a few others. The drive at the end of the half, they make it 14-7, and then 3 plays, they're down for a touchdown. You can't have that happen. You can't. But they were in position to win the football game. The final stats on this, Illinois State goes for 471 yards of offense. Total plays, 84 to 51, and they lost the game. Time of possession, they had it for 40 minutes compared to Montana State, who had it for 20. Everything stat-wise looks like Illinois State won the football game. They did everything that they had to do to win it. And special teams failed them in the worst spot. Now, Montana State did not play a clean game. I don't know what was happening with their center and quarterback. They had 9 false starts. That was a virtual home game for them last night, too. It wasn't necessarily a loud environment of Illinois State. They brought a nice contingent, but there were 20,000 Montana State fans there, and they couldn't snap the ball. No, I've never seen that before. 9 false starts. In a game that didn't have a single turnover, it was played brilliantly. Neither team threw an interception. There were 2 fumbles. Both of them were recovered. To me, that's a heck of a championship game. And you got to give Vigs all the credit there at Montana State for gutting it out, finding a way to win it. And they can celebrate now. They finally have their championship. You think of since Brent got there in 2021, the unexpected ride to the championship that year with a freshman, Tommy Mellott, who got hurt in the first series of the game against the Bison in the title game. They think, all right, we'll have a chance. 2022, they have a great year. They make it to the semifinals. They get their doors blown off by South Dakota State. That South Dakota State team that was on its way to winning the national championship. 2023, they have the Bozeman block game. And in a year that was, I think they were the 5 seed that year. They had some trouble during the regular season, but thought maybe they were rounding into form. That happens. Obviously, last year, unbeaten, number 1 seed. Frankly, I thought Vigs got out-coached in the championship game. I thought the Bison had a great game plan. I thought NDSU out-coached Montana State in the title game last year. And then here you are this year where you're the 2 seed. You lose the first 2 games of the season, right? They lost to Oregon, got blown out there. Lost to South Dakota State in a game that was ugly, right? Lost in overtime to the Jackrabbits. So they're sitting at 0-2. They don't lose another game after that. They roll through the rest of the regular season. They earn the 2 seed. They win the Brawl of the Wild game in Missoula. They have to struggle with Yale in the opening round, but they win that game. They beat Stephen F. Austin. They get Montana again. They explode for 28 unanswered points in the second half to win that game. And now they've got a national championship. It's been building to this. And this is, and Vieg said it, they only have 9 seniors. He equated this, I heard him say it, to that NDSU first title team that he was a part of. When they went down there and won it, think we got the pieces. Now, you'll remember, after last year's title game, they lost, I think, 3-4 All-Americans right after. And the portal is now wide open there as well. It's still going to be for another 10 days. Because it closes, what is it, the 16th, I want to say. So there's still time to be had here. And he even said it afterwards, and we'll set up the show here, that celebrate this, enjoy it, but it's right back to work. And that is such as life as a Division I college football head coach. You can't even really celebrate. Hopefully he did last night and his team did. What a win. Great stuff to end the year. There was so many people that normally don't watch FCS football that were tuned in last night that, this is, I don't know if we could say it all the time, but you get a couple of teams that match up like this, pretty darn good. And shout out to the Big Sky. They have gone through the ringer. They have taken their shots from me, from this part of the country, certainly from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. They finally have a national champion. First time since Eastern Washington won it with Bo Baldwin and Bo Levi Mitchell in 2010 when they won it against Delaware, the first title game in Frisco. They had not won a national championship in football since then. So congrats to our guy, Tom Wistersill, commissioner of the Big Sky. They have been through the grinder, and they've got one now with Montana State. Much more in the game throughout the show as we roll on this Tuesday. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Mike McFeely will join us coming up in a few minutes. I know he's got some thoughts from watching the end of the game at bowling last night at Sunset Lanes in Moorhead. We'll get to that with Michael coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. David Richman will join us at 10 o'clock in his usual Tuesday time slot. Bison men are 2-0. They're on top of the Summit League standings. They're heading on the road to Kansas City and Omaha. We'll preview those games coming up with Dave at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, the newest member of the 1,500 Club at Concordia, Jacob Cook, standout from down the road on Highway 10, will join us as the Cobbers are off to a really nice start in MIAC play. He'll join us coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We're just getting started. We come back much more in the game. The Wild played last night. They didn't win for a change. Hot mic off and rolling. We're back after this. Hey, tonight, first of its kind we got coming up for you. We got a little triangular on the wrestling match. And I want to make sure we got the right teams here because the graphic's a little misleading. Oaks is there, Hillsborough Central Valley is there, and Kindred is there. And it's girls and boys wrestling tonight here on Extra. Coverage begins at 5 o'clock. Check it out. There's 3 separate. We got a triangular: Oaks, Hillsborough Central Valley, and Kindred coming up tonight here on Extra. All right, real quick here because we went long in our first segment. Minnesota Wild were playing last night, 6th of 7th on the road as they're out of town. The World Juniors wrapped up last night, so they'll get their rink back later this week. Playing the Kings, who they played on Saturday. This is rare in the NHL. They do this in the NBA a heck of a lot more than they do it in hockey. So back-to-back games at the same opponent. And the Wild fell behind in this one. It was 2-0. We pick it up for Minnesota. Got its game going. They score here on a Jared Spurgeon slapper. Makes it a 2-1 score. Remember how good they've been, especially on the road this season, how solid they've been there. The Kings would answer back. You know him. Andrei Kuzmenko will score his 9th of the season on a nifty move to the net to make it a 3-1 Kings lead. Darcy Kemper, by the way, was playing for the Kings last night. Former Wild great. By the way, those Kings jerseys are sensational. Those are the old Wayne Gretzky jerseys. Wild aren't done. They get a power play. Ryan Hartman will deliver here on the rebound in front. That makes it a 3-2 Kings lead with just over 4.5 minutes to go. But the Kings would add an empty netter from Adrian Kempe here with just over a minute and a half to go to salt it away, make it a 4-2 Kings lead. That would be the final. Wild lose for the third time on this road trip. Now 3-3. After they started out with wins against the Jets, they won against the Ducks, they won against the Golden Knights, but losses now to the Kings, and they lost to the Sharks, and San Jose's rolling right now. So final game of the road trip comes up later this week against the Kraken. All right, we're overdue. We'll get our break in. We come back. Mike McFeely will join us in studio, get his thoughts on what we saw last night. We'll chat some Summer League hoops and anything else that tickles his fancy. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. All right. Happy New Year, our guy Mike McFeely. We haven't seen him in 2026. Good to see you.
I was on vacation.
Yeah.
I was enjoying some time away
Good for you.
From the meat grinder.
How the emails are flowing in about the game last night.
Yeah.
Should we rip the Band-Aid off here?
Yeah, heck of a game, for sure.
Great game.
Just tremendous. Look, and I was actually bowling at Sunset Lane, so I wasn't in front of my TV with the sound. I was trying to roll my 125.
And?
Awful. I'm just terrible. Actually, it doesn't matter. But so I was watching it while I wasn't like into it, but it looked like a great atmosphere. I got a text from somebody who was there last night and said, this game ain't ever going back to Frisco.
Yeah.
So which is unfortunate. I hope that Frisco gets a fair shot. I'm a fan of Frisco just because of all of our time that we spent there and our memories there and the people we know there and all the restaurants there. Although I'm sure they have good restaurants in Nashville too. But I mean, what a tremendous game. I don't know how you could get any better for a national championship game. The chaos at the end of regulation, and I was sitting there going, "What are you doing?" Yeah. I don't know I don't know why Brock's back. I know why he tried to kick the field goal
at the end of regulation.
I get that, but
I disagree with that one.
But I don't. Even at the time at Sunset Lanes, with my bowling team sitting there, I'm going. I said, just go for it. Just do not kick this field goal. And I didn't even realize until right now, because I didn't have the sound on, that wasn't even
the regular
Illinois
kicker.
State's regular kicker. Because when they showed the kid warming up on the sidelines, I'm going, I don't remember the kid wearing 81, but okay, well, I don't know what's going on. I didn't care that much. But so it was some kicker, redshirt freshman backup kicker from 38 yards, and you're asking him to win the national championship.
Yep.
I don't.
I know.
I mean, I'm not saying that they could have gone for a touchdown, but they had a couple timeouts left, I believe.
You could have gotten closer.
At least try to get it closer.
Yeah, I agree.
Run like an RPO with Rittenhouse, and if he gets 5 more yards, it helps. if you don't get the first down, after the game you explain, you know what, we have a young kicker.
Yeah.
I think people would have forgiven.
You're going for the win. Yeah.
Right. And it would have gone to overtime anyway.
Yes.
So that was a tough one. I mean, I understand what he was doing, but in the moment, that was probably the right thing to do. But
they're just owning it here. I mean, this play, it had no chance either. I mean, the guy comes off the edge, and then I'm thinking Montana State may return it for a touchdown, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was no chance. No. Obviously, Montana State dialed up their field goal block play, and but he just had. You're just asking.
You're asking for trouble there.
A kid who hadn't kicked very much to make a third. And I told my bowling guys, I said, there is no way he's making this field goal.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to get blocked. But I go, there's just field goal kicking in college football is iffy anyway.
That's a
college
great way to
football kickers in FCS particularly are iffy because for all the reasons that we know. I mean, NDSU had an outstanding kicker. The last couple of years, Eli Ozick was as good as they came in FCS, and he's not going to be there next year because another school said, we want you.
Yeah.
And so tough way for Brocksback to lose.
To me, it looks so similar to how the game was played out here. Montana State was totally gassed defensively there. That's why I was more in favor of go for it. And if you get stopped, then okay, then you go to overtime
you live
and play
with it. You go to overtime anyway.
Right.
It's almost like there's like a 10% chance the kid was going to make the field goal. I thought, and so if you're Brock, I mean, he knows way more than I do. I mean, the kid, the situation, and so I don't know, try to get. If you're going to kick a field goal, they probably would have had to do it even if they got the first down. At least make it as short as possible.
25 yards.
So,
Let's go.
If you can just chip it under the ball like a chip shot and get it up over. But a 38-yarder, you have to drive it.
Yes.
I mean, you can't just chip it. It's not a chip shot. I don't know. It's
the end of regular. So after that, Montana State has a chance to then win the game, and they cannot snap the ball.
No.
They had 9 false starts last night.
It was chaotic.
It was just chaotic. Because
it was not a great, well-played game.
No, it wasn't the cleanest of games.
No, but it was entertaining as hell game. And it was, many people in Fargo like us know Brent Vegan. Good for him.
Yep,
Congratulations.
absolutely.
That's awesome. They've had a tough, last few years have been tough on him because people in Bozeman last year were blaming him and his coordinators for losing to NDSU in the championship.
And I think they
game.
got outcoached in that game.
Yes, I totally did.
Yep. Some are already saying, I got emails already saying he got outcoached last night.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yep.
I got a couple of those last night too. Going, wow, Vegan was woof.
Yep.
Again, not very good, but he escaped this time. Yeah, and so and Spack, we know Spack from covering the Redbirds for so long, and he's a good guy. I mean, he's just he's one of the better guys. When you think of like these high intensity coaches, that's not Brock Spack.
That ain't him. Nope.
You could, the old test is you could sit down for a beer with Brock Spack. I don't know if he drinks or not, but and you would have a heck of a time.
Yeah.
And it would be fun to talk to him, and he's a great guy. And if they would have won the game, I think a lot of people in Fargo would have said, whatever.
Yep.
Good for him. That's awesome.
I texted you as well once Montana State recovered the blocked field goal. Like the Alexandria kid, Miles Sandsted, has got a great leg.
I mean,
a chance to win the game.
When it came down to that, and I had a chance to talk to Miles last year at the national championship game with Vegan there because Vegan's wife is from Alexandria and grew up, I think, on the same lake that I did in Alexandria. And Miles Sandstead is from Alec, and he is somehow related to one of them.
To Molly.
Yes. He's a nephew of Molly, I think.
Yep.
Right? And so I was talking to Vegan on the field at Frisco, and he waved over Miles, and we had a chance to chat, and I told stories from 40 years ago.
Your Carlos Cougar days? You told that?
More the Alexandria Cardinal basketball days. And he was just going, yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, I have to go practice now. No, real nice kid.
Yes.
Real nice kid.
Yep.
But when it came down to him getting a chance to kick a field goal or win the game, No doubt, baby. Alexandria, there was no doubt that kid was making the field goal. Good for him. Alexandria, the cradle of champions.
Continues.
Tom Lehman, Miles Sandstead, Mike McFeely. It's just the bloodlines there are unbelievable.
How about, go back to the message you got last night, because I messaged you when I was down there and a few others as well about the championship, that they may have found a new home in Nashville. I think that was they did a great job. I'd be hard pressed to think that they would want to leave after that.
And it all comes down to money.
Correct.
I mean, but Nashville, I don't think is probably short of money.
No.
And I again was not watching the game that closely and never saw a wide shot of the stadium, but it looked like there was a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the attendance was if you looked that up.
24,000 it was.
Yeah, so I mean that's
really good.
That's I mean Frisco before they reduced the attendance down there with the Soccer Hall of Fame and stuff, I think the first couple Bison titles got 20,000 some in those games, and so 24 is more than they've had in Frisco.
So
which isn't it. I had a chance to go look at the stadium and get a tour.
Yeah, when we were down there in September.
When NDSU was down there in September, and it's a football stadium.
Yep.
And it's really 30,000 people or 35,000 people, and so it's not like the Titan Stadium was just ridiculously huge.
Too big.
It was like 80,000.
Yeah.
Just way too many people, way too many seats rather. But the Vanderbilt Stadium, because of its size, I thought was perfect.
Yep.
And I'm assuming the concessions ran better than they did in Frisco every year.
Yeah.
It just seemed to be
Something.
every year. It's like it was something going on with something. And the field is not an issue because it's
Not at
field
all.
turf.
Yep.
And they have way more suites. And so all the Richie Riches can...
Which were sold out, by the way, as well.
And they would have been if NDSU or SDSU or anybody else had gone down there. So it seemed like it was a hit from everybody that I've talking to you, and I've heard Sam Herder gushing about it, and it just sounds like it was they did a really great job.
Now, this is the question that'll come up here. Can Montana State do this again? They only have 9 seniors. The question is, how many can Vigs hang on to come back for next season?
And what I would say to that is they lost a bunch of guys last year, and he found a quarterback.
He did.
I mean, Malott was obviously the best.
He was voted as the best player.
I don't know that he was the best quarterback. He was the best player in FCS,
Yep.
the most impactful player in FCS last year. I think Cam Miller was the better quarterback, but Malott was just a freakish athlete with his speed and all he could do. But Lamson is a legit quarterback. Yeah. He can throw. He can run. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah.
So I think he's coming back. He's got another year. And Vegan found a way to replace. They lost like 3 offensive linemen.
3 All-American offensive linemen left after the
so,
game last year against the Bison.
And I don't know that Montana State's team this year was as good as the team last year.
Yeah, right.
But it's all circumstances. And they won the game.
Yep.
And so of course they can do it again. And they have some things going for them now. Like the location, the practice facility.
Boosters are certainly energized.
They're going to be really energized now.
Yep. Yeah, certainly after winning a title like that can get even more people out of the woodwork, right?
For sure. I mean, with all due respect to Brock's back in the Illinois State, that Montana State has a much better chance to keep it going, I think, than Illinois State.
And that's the thing. Illinois State's graduating 26 guys. I mean, that was their team to have a chance to go and do it. That's going to be awfully hard in my mind to.
But again, though, FCS has changed.
Yep.
It's not like it once was. Montana State's going to have the advantage going into next year. Because assuming they're going to have a bunch of these guys coming back, I mean, who knows? Yep. Maybe Lamson takes off. I mean, quarterbacks are one of those things that in the portal. It's
what we see the numbers for that quarterback goes for these days. It's just crazy.
No, they'll certainly be a force to be reckoned with. Maybe they're the next thing in FCS. NDSU had its run for 15 years and sort of flamed out this year, and then they lost a bunch of guys in the portal. So. Maybe Montana State is that next team that's going to win the next 3 or something.
Montana State next year, just looking ahead quickly, they go to Nevada. Their old coach, Jeff Choate. So that's who they face next year as their FBS
They'll win
game.
that by 2 touchdowns. Nevada's horrible.
And they don't have any real strength. Their non-conference is what it is. So they'll be at the top.
And they'll have the Brawl of the Wild game in Bozeman.
Correct. After winning both games this year.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff there. We'll break. We come back. We'll chat some hoops. The Bison basketball teams both sit atop the Summit League. Start and play. We'll chat with Mike about that when we roll out of the Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. David Richman coming up here in about 12 minutes or so. Bison men hitting the road for Kansas City and Omaha. You were, I was in Nashville, so getting ready for the Peyton ceremony, so I didn't see live the end of the Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would have, not debacle, but
no, it was
wild game that happened there.
It was a wild game. NDSU's men's team has been playing really well.
Offensively challenged on Saturday.
On Saturday, it was just a struggle.
Yeah.
It was just a struggle offensively. They just couldn't. Oral Roberts was throwing they're mixing up their defenses, and they were throwing a couple zones at them. It looked like NDSU just couldn't figure out what to do.
And they couldn't miss from three-point range, or you on Saturday.
Early. But yeah, they just too much dribbling. Stefanowicz is dribbling around. It was just a clunker offensively. They won the game, which is what matters. But they have some athletes, and it's they played defense hard. They rebound like I think they had 50 rebounds. I think against Oral Roberts. They rebound like crazy, so NDSU is going to be fine. South Dakota State is not what they once were, although they're still fine. They're good.
Yep.
They're trying to play defense too, which they really hadn't done much of under Otzelberger or your guy Henderson. Eric Henderson. I mean, it was more of we're just going to outscore people. If we win games 95-91, we're okay with that. I don't think they're that way anymore under this new guy Peterson. But NDSU is going to be in the mix. It's going to be St. Thomas is really good. Johnny Towers got it rolling down there. So
the net right now, St. Thomas is 120, the Bison are 149, the Jacks at 174. That's the only three in the top 200 in the net rankings.
Yeah, and UND got a couple, I think, surprise wins.
Yeah, beat Oral Roberts and then beat the Jackrabbits.
Yep, but we'll see where they go from here. They just were not good in the preseason at all for the most part. So we'll see where they go. Other than that, Omaha's been struggling. USD they've got like two players. They're playing 2-on-5 apparently.
They're down to 6.
Poor Eric Peterson down there is. Yeah.
Literally 2 guys dropped during the Bison game, so I think they were really down to 5 because they only had 7 to start.
Yeah, and so that was just that's not a good situation for now. We'll see what happens there, but Denver is improved.
Yep.
I heard yesterday with Kolpak talking about how they're going to be in the mix. I don't know if they're ready for that yet. We'll see.
Okay.
They're okay, but we'll see what they do. They did challenge St. Thomas down in St. Paul the other day, but they're good. Men are good. Bison men are good. Bison women, I think, are going to be really good.
Looks it.
And it comes down to the 2 games in Fargo and Brookings against the Jackrabbits. Then, of course, in Sioux Falls is really all that matters for NDSU. But it's good. It should be a good basketball couple of months here in Fargo, and so the crowds have been okay for the NDSU men. A couple thousand for the USD game.
Yeah, the New Year's Eve game, I was surprised. The crowd was actually pretty good for that.
Yeah, I heard you yesterday say like it was an odd start to it was New Year's Eve, Don.
I know.
It's it's people want to go out and do their thing on New Year's Eve. They don't want to go to a basketball game at 7:00 at night.
I meant in terms of like 4. Like you could do it. 4 is not a normal start time. You start at 1 then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's true.
That's what I guess I was.
Okay.
I should have explained better.
But
maybe 1 o'clock.
Was it on a Saturday?
No, it was on a Wednesday.
Oh, okay. 4. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
New Year's Eve was Wednesday. So what are you doing playing at 4? Play at 1 o'clock. Then they can get back to Vermont. You know what I mean?
Odd. Yeah. That's okay.
Nobody was playing anytime near there. Play at 1.
Okay. Maybe there's people working on New Year's Eve. I don't know, but they didn't want to have.
You and I weren't working. I don't know.
No. I was not.
Couple emails. Dom, nobody was really interested in hearing the woulda, shoulda, coulda from Montana State and Frisco last year. I have no interest in hearing the Illinois State woulda, shoulda, coulda. Cats won and showed tremendous grit for a young team. Okay. That was how they played out. If the holder for ISU handles either of those snaps cleanly, they win. So sad they handled that title of the Bobcats. And that's, again, you go back to kicking the ball.
Going to the previous email, what do you think people talk about on a sports talk show? This is what we do.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see.
If it was my show, I'd say then don't watch. But it's your show, so I won't say that.
People already tune out anyway. It's all right.
Not for this segment,
No,
Pally.
and actually not at all. All right, here's one for Mike. For the win now, does this make Brent Vegan even more attractive FBS candidate?
Well, he was already.
Yeah.
I think the circumstances didn't really work out for him. Now maybe he doesn't.
Now he goes.
Yeah, maybe
right?
now. I mean, and God bless him because he's a guy that did not want to leave either team.
Nope.
And wanted
Not
to
before the
coach it
championship.
through.
Yep.
And so now maybe he's a little more willing to say, you know what, I'm going to take that next job. He'll get he's at least interested because he's talked to a couple different schools.
Yep.
And the money is so ridiculous, even in the Mountain West or Pac-12, that he's going to get a job someplace else when he wants it. And now maybe he decides,
or
see you later.
And then next time he can fly private to the job interview.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I was told that
Yeah.
was his
decision. Yeah.
which is
again, I know. Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Last one here before we go. Dom, yes, Mike, and get your thoughts as well. What's been the biggest portal departure for North Dakota State so far?
Left tackle.
I always say Bo Johnson was going to. Yeah, that would go.
Toby Anini is
yeah.
a close
second.
very close second.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's not like the top, but don't underestimate Eli.
I was going to say Ozick too. I agree.
When that happened, I was texting you and Kolpak going, "Don't." He was
kicked 2 54-yarders outside.
He was really good.
Yes.
Again, FCS kicking is sketchy. I
saw it last night.
I told the guys last night at bowling, I've seen 6 million FCS games in the last 20 years, and the level of field goal kicker or place kicker in FCS is generally not good.
UND's kicker missed a 22-yarder, a field goal?
Yes.
Up in the Alaris Center.
And SDSU lost its kicker last year and grabbed some guy from NAIA, and he was not good.
Not great.
No.
Nope.
And so don't underestimate the loss of Eli Ozick as being, because when it comes down to it,
you may need it.
What's the biggest, if you want to go down to the biggest single play in NDSU football history, what was it?
Oh, it's Cam Peterson field goal at Iowa. Yep. Which was, I think, 37 yards, by the way. So
Kid made a 37-yard field goal to beat Iowa.
Yep. Which was not an easy kick there either, by the way.
No.
We got to roll. Thanks for coming by. Have a great week, all right?
I'm not going to woulda, coulda, shoulda anything ever again. Apparently, hey, hooray for the Bobcats! Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo!
There's our new clip for Mike. Thanks for coming by, bud. We'll see you next week.
Good Lord.
Mike McFeely joining
life
us.
Do these people live?
Every Tuesday. Coming back, Dave Richman will start hour 2. We come back after this.
Sit down with that guy for a beer.
Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But
Just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants.
My wife will tell you, she wants to burn mine. People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They
I
watch
told
it.
you. Yeah.
play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but
You got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
well,
you're
you
doing
can come
that
with.
game.
That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
Here we go with the first appearance for the North Dakota State men's basketball coach in 2026. David Richman joins us each and every Tuesday. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. All right, I'm going to come right out of the gates here. I caught the end of last week with you and Sam, and I heard you just glowing about your interview with him. Like, do you want me out of here? You just want to do it with him from now on?
You said it. I'm fine with that. Hey, here's the other thing. Two things. One, your special host here at Northwestern Mutual. It's his birthday today.
It is his birthday. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he's 65 years old. Pretty sure. I'll be sure to get him a nice gift.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I'm putting this all together when I hear this back. You said your wife doesn't like your pants. It's clear that I don't like your pants, and yet you still put those pants on. Like, where's self-awareness here, brother?
That's something I'm looking forward to in 2026. It's on the resolution list.
Yeah, Sam and I are buddies now.
Yeah.
We don't talk Moorhead. We just talk. My ties in basketball.
Oh yeah, I think you did. You put your arm around him at a post game on New Year's Eve. You guys were buddies there after the South Dakota game. I thought.
Did I really?
I think you did.
Look at me.
How much did you get your years off your life at the end of the game with Oral Roberts on Saturday?
Yeah. My and this is no offense to anybody, whatever, but my father has always told me, down the stretch of some of these games, he said, like, you should have gone into it. You should have gone into another profession. You should have been a plumber. You should have been an electrician, and done those things. And I felt it in my shoulders. I'm not going to lie, for a little bit on Saturday night and Sunday morning. But man, that's awesome. I mean, I just, me and culture and life, and we can do hard things. And, what an opportunity for us to embrace some things and just, have to fight, kick, scrap, claw. And I said this too on a different platform yesterday. Like, I try not to make too big a difference out of conference play, because at the end of the day, we're still playing basketball. But yet, I thought Saturday at 3 was a reminder that it's conference play, and you just can't judge book by its covers. You and I talked. I think Cor's doing a great job at Oral Roberts. Yep. Maybe the record doesn't speak for it. I had heard some things from them that they weren't maybe pleased with their effort against North Dakota. And, I've been in those situations before. So as a player, you sit around and you get your butt chewed out for 36 hours. And so you're teed up. And I thought they played like it. And kudos to them. But, like, kudos to our guys. Like, our effort in some of those things has been terrific. I've talked a lot about we've been winning games by decisions and not knockouts yet. I think as we continue to tighten up some things and execute a little bit better, we can take those decisions and make them knockouts. But, we'll keep taking decisions as long as we have one more point at the end of the game than our opponents.
Does it almost feel, Dave, like that was worth 2 wins the way it went down, how you won the game? Or you get what I'm asking on that?
Yeah, I do think it's really important to take care of business at home.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to win games in league. And I think that the biggest thing is, and so many people, probably you, and I know I'm slowly maturing, but like so many people are, scared of the old version of me. And I got some calls and texts. Make sure you enjoy that. I know, Trayson was 2 for 14, or, Mike McFeely's telling me I didn't shoot free throws well. And, all these things, we are 2-0.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. And I'm thrilled with that. I'm also thrilled to go and as soon as we're done here and go work out with Trayson and get better at those things. And so I love this group. They're fighters, and they find ways. I'm not getting off this Zoom. Like Damari Wheeler-Thomas, I don't know, like if you were present, like you had to almost be present because it didn't really do justice when you were live, because he literally was almost going to pass out on every dead ball situation. He played 46 minutes. Yeah. I think Dow is a really good player, and he's chasing him all over the court. He ends up 5 for 18. Just a warrior. Travion had a little tweak to the knee, and that was bothering him. We were trying to, massage that and maintain that. And, he was a warrior, just like, Noah Federson, the adversity that he's been through. And again, me, the transparent, he hasn't been playing very well. But for him to handle some of those things and be present and respond when he was needed most, like just really proud of our group.
All right. The 2 dunks that Markai had, one of them had me thinking of Trayvon Wright.
Yeah.
Trayvon Wright, excuse me, when he did one, I want to say against South Dakota about now 12 years ago. That come to mind, just up it and just threw it in the basket. That was Trayvon-esque.
Yeah, when we started to see some things with Kai, early on, and that was the name. Like I thought, we haven't not seen that type of just athlete, just freak in a long time, probably since Trayvon. And they're still different. Trayvon was maybe a little bit more float and would just be high, and where Kai's really high. Don't get me wrong, but then there's force behind it.
Yeah.
And I said this too. Like I have the utmost respect for every opponent we play. I have the utmost respect for the game of basketball, and I try to keep those kind of emotions in check. But when he went baseline and went underneath and just slammed that one down, I was like, ooh, that's pretty good right there.
Well, it must have been to impress you. That's saying something, right?
Yeah, exactly. To impress me in the moment like that, there's I remember when we were playing at home against South Dakota a couple years ago, and we were down, and Grant Nelson just went on his little barrage, and you just kind of have a few of those moments as a coach where you lose yourself just for a split second about like, wow, that's really impressive. And a lot of times you go back and you look at a stat sheet or you watch the game, you're like, oh wow, he was really, really good, impressive. But there's a couple times you get caught up in those moments, and it was great.
So off of that, your reaction, so when Feddersen scores the basket there, your mindset, what are you telling? Because obviously Oral Roberts got a shot that nearly went in from three-quarter court. What, in the moment, what are you saying to your guys after Feddersen scores?
Yeah, so like it's the timing is, for your question is great. Like I just sat down with James Buchanan and one of our assistants and video and analytics, and we just reviewed some situational things, and we're going to show the guys the last two possessions of regulation, first overtime and second overtime. Like there's still a game, there's still time left on the clock, and you got to go. And I thought a couple of our guys relaxed, went too casual, and you can't assume anything, in those situations. And I remember I watched The Last Dance all the time, and it talked about when Larry Bird, Reggie Miller hits a big shot, and there's still just a little bit of time left on the clock, and everybody in the Pacers uniform and the Pacers arena is going wild, and Larry Bird's face is just blah, like, oh, there's still time left for Jordan to do his thing. And so, like, if you watch me at my reaction, I'm not celebrating at all. I'm up. I'm trying to jam our guys to grab the ball and do some things like that. And again, great learning experience too for us.
To get two at home, which is the opposite of what last year, this is going to be Captain Obvious, but to defend home court, how much does that pay off maybe in late February when you're not digging out of a hole to start Summit League play?
Yeah, we'll see. I certainly that's certainly been bouncing around my head. It's been bouncing around my head now for a long time. My pregame sheet talks about like betterment, and I did not love who we were at home defensively last year at all. And I thought both games, Wednesday against South Dakota, and then obviously Saturday against, Oral Roberts, we were pretty darn good defensively, in both of those games for, 90 minutes. And that's great. And that's how you win games. That's how you win games that are close. That's how you win games when you're maybe not as efficient offensively. I still think that's the biggest growth for our team is some of those things. But yeah, I mean, 2-0 is like I mentioned to the guys, as we left the locker room, pregame, Wednesday before we played USD, the goal is 1-0 to go 2-0 on a home weekend, and that's what we did, and that's what we need to be most proud of and pleased with and gain the confidence from, but then also have a understanding like it's still early, and that can't define us. That's got to continue to motivate us.
I asked you about Tay Smith's play. He really seemed to energize you in the game against South Dakota. Dave, he came in and hit 3 threes, and boy, the offense started to get going, and the avalanche happened after that, and he hit another 3 threes on Saturday's game. Has he now felt comfortable carve out his role for what you want out of him?
Yeah, and I'm pleased with that. And some of that I need to own, Dom, where, and I addressed it, like, it's a good problem, but it's something, as a guy that at the end of the day, I'm soft, I do care, and all these things. Like, we have 11 guys, and you saw it against USD. We have 11 guys that can play. I'm very convicted in that. But I, as the leader, you have to make tough decisions, and I don't think an 11-man rotation, is right. I don't think it's fair, to those second wave guys as they're trying to find rhythm, especially a guy like Tay, who's a shooter. And so, for the better part of it, we shrunk it to 9 on Saturday, and I anticipate us like that. That's going to be us a little bit going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. As I'm really excited about Emil Skuta and how he's progressed, and he needs to find more. Tay Smith, Riley Massey is a guy that like you don't always shows up in box score live, but the spots he's in defensively, and so we need to get those guys rhythm, and that sucks. It sucks for me, and it sucks for Carson Smith a little bit. It sucks for Max Marley a little bit because those guys are good players, and I assume at some point we're going to need them, and they're going to impact us. And but I think my message to them is the same message I had to Noah, the same message I had to Tay is like, okay, here's where you're at. And I don't expect you to like it. This is adversity. What are you going to do? You're going to pout? You're going to blame me? Or are you going to compete, have fun, listen, and serve? And to Noah's credit and to Tay's credit, they responded and kind of had a little bit of edge and attitude to them. And it's certainly great, just Tay's presence on the floor offensively spaces some things, and he's competing harder, he's competing longer defensively, and again, I say all these things like, Andy, Damari, Travion, like it's really hard to take those guys off the floor too. So it's a good situation that we're in right now.
What's the deepest bench you can remember having off the top of your head?
I do remember in 18-19, as we went down the stretch, we kind of inserted, Jordan Horn back in there, and as we went into that tournament, we were playing 10 guys, and so, I mean, I think that would quickly come to mind, down the stretch. I also remember my very first year, we played 7 guys against Akron. We didn't sub in the second half; only 5 guys played. So it takes what it takes. Each year is different, especially now this day and age. But I think the cool part is, go back to Wednesday night. Damari was on the bench for a stretch in the first half, and he's up, he's celebrating, he's encouraging the teammates and supporting his teammates. I was just talking to Jory about, his group and how connected they are, and the things that they want to do together. Like there's a lot of smoke and, going around these professions about money and portal and NIL and all those things, but like winning still comes down to a tough, connected group.
One last thing before we go to break, and just off of the amount of guys you have playing here, and Greg Steeman and I were talking about this at the end of the USD broadcast on how Travion has assimilated himself to your style of play, to Division I basketball, and I equated it to Vinny Shaheed when he got in. And I would say the first couple months, and boy, by the time you got to conference play, his first year, it was off and rolling. Is that similar? Am I way off base there?
No, I mean, I get it, but like, I can't take credit for my style, our style of play. It's Travion, like it's his style of play. I'll say this, him and I have had some good conversations, and I challenged him early about, being assertive and then playing harder for longer stretches. Like there's less room for error the higher and higher you go up. So he has adapted that. But again, I've said it a million times, and I'll say it 1,000,001. You go back to what he did in high school. You go back to what he did in junior college. You go back to how he's impacted us in these first 17. It transcends, Dom. Like it's winning basketball, and I bang hard on the table because Kai's dunk is on SportsCenter, and everybody loves, scoring and all those things, but there's multiple other things going on in the course of a basketball game. And that's where Travion really is excelling, whether he makes the right play. That play might be a box out. Play might be a hockey assist that no one ever sees. How about him posting up and whipping it to Tay Smith for that 3 for us to take the lead? Those are the things that he's doing so well, and he defends. He's really smart. He's a cerebral basketball player. His instincts are through the roof. We can do some things with him in our zone defense that we can't do with others. I mean, I'd like to take all the credit in the world, but that's just not me either. I give the young man credit, and just in how he was brought up around the game of basketball.
All right, let's break. We come back. We'll get Dave's thoughts as the Bison will hit the road in Summit League play for the first time. They're heading out tomorrow. It's off to Kansas City and Omaha. We'll chat about that and a couple other topics with the head coach of the Bison men. We'll do that on the other side of the break. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Last few minutes here with Dave Richman. Joins us each and every Tuesday. Email comes in. Dom, can you ask Coach Richman if Travion Carson has an injury? When he comes off the court, he seems stiff. I don't know. That's an email I got. What do you think of that?
I think that would be really bad if he did. I don't know. I try to get as little information as I need, but whatever I need to hear. And I saw the limp too, whoever sent the email, and he was fine. And okay. It's as much as you want to win that one, it's still a big picture. So I'm conversating with Dan, our trainer. Travion will be just fine.
I'm sure we saw it on Friday night. Notre Dame's head coach, Micah Shrewsbury, running after an official. I know you've had some battles. Have you ever?
I would never do such a thing.
So have you ever got to that level where I'm this furious, I'm this upset, I need to do that?
Again, I'm not proud of this at all, especially as I get older and deeper into my faith. The one that sticks out to me was South Dakota State a couple years ago. I can say it. I lost my mind, and not proud of it.
Yeah.
At the same sense, it's your passion and your and I think the thing I know Micah Shrewsbury like the best. It's the painter tree. It's the Brad Stevens tree. Great, and so, but I just like it's hard. Like you are in these moments of intensity and. My dad did it too over the break. You take 35 times 40. How many minutes is that? And then divide that by how many minutes are in a year, and think about like that's our profession.
Yep.
That's our livelihood. And I think it's less than like 0.5% of the year. And so you put a lot into it. You put a lot of passion into it, and that doesn't always bring out the best in us too. So I will defend Micah. He's great. I'm not going to defend that action. I don't think that's acceptable or anything anybody should be proud of. I know he's not, but that doesn't define him either.
Well, and your profession, you're based on you have more in the left column than the right column, and if you don't, then that's not going to be good for. That's what it all comes down to, right?
Well, and I just think I go back to and again I say this with all due respect. I go back to when our football team lost by 1 point to Illinois State, we turned around and beat Northern Arizona that same day by 1 point.
Yeah.
And what 1 point does, and that's just silly. It shouldn't, but it does, and that's just the reality. I've never been a huge NFL football guy. It's just kind of always on. I've gotten more and more into that when you look at how tight all those games are and the situational things and a call here and a call there.
Yeah.
And you can preach like it's the 70 other possessions and all that, but like when there's good teams and good coaches and you're going at it, and it does come down to possession here, possession there, call here, call there.
I have not had a chance to ask you on the air. Trayson Anderson made his first career start against South Dakota. He's been playing really well. I know you're going to work out with him here after we're done. Describe what he has done to merit a spot in the starting lineup.
Yeah, he's productive. I think that's it. And then I think he's playing basketball. I don't think he's thinking basketball. Sometimes I wish he would think it a little bit more. But for him to like who he was this summer and early in the fall, I didn't know if he was going to play for us. I thought Fetty, and then we were going to play small. I was really disappointed, in some of his motor things. And it got better. He had a better understanding, and he does have a unique ability when the lights come on to switch a little bit. And he's gained a ton of confidence, and he should. He's all the things. I remember Craig Bull telling me potential is a swear word, and you listen to Signetti talk about I recruit, production over potential. And Trayson, again, he always had a lot of potential. He had size, he had movement, he had skill, but the production didn't match. And that's where he started to take those next steps. And, that production is, I can pick out so many different things, about Trayson that just annoy me during the game. I think it's how I gravitate to big guys, and I coached that a lot, when I was an assistant, and he didn't finish very well and all. But then the kid had a double in a Division I college basketball game where we win. That's huge.
It's on to Kansas City. I know you've had some battles there. What do we make of the Roos coming up on Thursday night?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to throw rocks at each other for 40 minutes.
You've done that in the past. I know that.
Yeah, I love Marvin. He's great. He's a defensive-minded guy. I'm a defensive-minded guy. We're working through some things offensively right now as a group. And again, you and I talked a little bit off air, this is a Kansas City team that I'm sure that they would tell you that they were searching for a little bit, but then they go on the road and they get a road victory in league. Yeah. All of a sudden, things start to click, and what coach is saying is validated a little bit more. And I expect nothing other than what we saw here Saturday. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a dogfight.
This was a great interview to start 2026. I thought, right? I thought everything was good here, right?
Well, from my side, it was great. How am I any different than any other years past? Maybe that was your resolution, that you need to be better. It's so good.
Well, hey, I've got a lot to work on. There's no doubt about that. But my performances with you each and every Tuesday, I go back and look at the tape like you asked me to. So I'm trying to,
take some copious notes. And
no filler words, shorter questions. Let Dave talk as much. I don't talk as much. That's what I'm trying to do.
And you borrowed Kirk Cousins' shirt too. That's cute.
You're fixated on my wardrobe. You got enough to worry. No more. You wear a suit next home game. Can you do that?
I think maybe the coaches versus cancer game. I'm thinking.
Oh, all right. Let's go.
My buddy Tim. My buddy Tim Helverstead cussed me out the other day too. He just wears his pants now. I don't wear a suit.
Safe travels and good luck this week. All right.
Appreciate you.
There he goes. There he goes. David Richman joining us. His appearances each and every Tuesday brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Bison on the road. They go to Kansas City and Omaha. And Eric, we can do this now because he's off the air. Our guy Joe Lenardi, the bracketologist du jour at ESPN. They got a whole new website they're debuting in 2026. I clicked on it during the interview, but I dare not bring it up with the men's basketball head coach. But I look at the latest bracketology, and North Dakota State is included in the field of 68. They have the Bison. Here we go. They have the Bison as a 14 seed facing the University of Houston in Oklahoma City. So there you go. And I happen to just do it as well for the women. They have the women as an 11 seed in the NCAA women's basketball tournament going to Ames, Iowa to play North Carolina State. So I know it's January 6th, and we're 2 full months from, I believe the Summit League Championship game is 2 months from today. I'll double check on that, but I'm almost positive. It's pretty close. So we got a lot of basketball. But the net rankings, especially on the women's side, the women are higher than the Jacks. So if NDSU can somehow keep this play, and that's crazy to say that, they've won 11 games in a row, but play as well as this, even if they don't win the tournament, if you're got a net ranking that high, you're going to get an at-large bid. Because that's 11 seed, you're not scraping in. Scraping in is a 12 or a 13. 11, you're solidly in the field. That's fun to talk about. So, yeah, we just wrapped up football season. For those that have been wandering around like, can't believe that the Bison lost in football. I'm here to tell you basketball is pretty darn good. Both teams are good. Both teams are worth watching. And both may be playing in March and not in a tournament that you've never heard of, in the big one. That could be awfully a lot of fun. All right, we'll break. When we come back, local standout that's tearing it up in his senior season for the Concordia Cobbers. You'll meet Jacob Cook, the newest member of the 1,500 Club for the Cobbers. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Hot Mike returns right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour on this Tuesday morning spectacular. Our thanks to Dave Richman always for his time. Not the only team that's playing some good hoops here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Across the way over on the Concordia campus, the Cobbers are playing some good ball as well. They're 8-3 on the season. Got a big win in the MIAC on Saturday. They head the road tomorrow night to take on Carleton. Our next guest, though, pretty prestigious award or milestone he just hit. 1,000 points, 500 rebounds. Only the fourth ever to do that for the Concordia men's basketball team from Ashby, Minnesota. Jacob Cook joins us here this morning to chat about that and probably some good middle part of Minnesota basketball with the Ashby Arrows. Great to see you, bud. Congrats on the. Did you know that you were in this club? You were close to it, or did somebody tell you afterwards?
So actually, I had a lot of my friends and family talking to me about it before the season, asking if I would get it. I kind of was like, well, I guess we'll see when it happens. But after our last game in North Carolina, I was just reading from what our athletic director or our SID person puts online, and they said I was 5 points away. So I did kind of know it was coming. I didn't really know about the 500 rebounds or the 1 and 4. So it was pretty cool moment. So
to do that, what does that mean to you? There's only 3 other guys that have done that in the history of Concordia basketball.
I think coming from such a small town, I graduated 20 people. It is super cool to be able to experience that at the collegiate level. I don't know if I ever thought I'd ever be able to do that. So just something super awesome, and just glad I was able to do it, and with the help of my coaches, teammates, and all my friends.
76 career games. You're getting ready here for the stretch run. Have you started to think about this is the last? Have those started to click yet, or you're not thinking about that way?
I try not to think about it. I know, it's kind of coming towards the end. Hopefully I have more games than I think I do left, right? Hopefully we can make a good playoff run. But just trying to cherish every single moment I can, with my team on the court, also, in practice and putting work in off in my own time. So, yeah, try not to think about it. But
so we had Coach Borman on. You guys were on the bus heading back from North Central. I want to say you guys had to stay the night because of the roads were bad.
Yep.
Just tell us the life of Division III, man. Sometimes you have crazy long bus rides and what goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grind, right? I mean, for me, like I'm a science major, nutrition major, so I got a lot longer, a little harder classes. And I know, like, especially that night, we won at North Central, and we actually had a little break that day. So a lot of guys actually went back to their houses, rode home with family. But me and I want to say it's probably 5 others were driving back. We got to about St. Cloud, and the bus driver's like, yeah, I just can't do this anymore. So ended up staying the night. But honestly, like, in hindsight, like looking at it for me, that was just fun. Like, my teammates kind of just went to the hot tub and just hung out. I feel like, especially like on our team the last couple of years, they're just really good friends. So I actually had a good time doing it personally, but
got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about this over the last couple of years when you've been there with Coach Borman the whole way of turning this roster, developing it. You've obviously played the entire time as well, of where you guys are at now. How does it feel like it's been a long process of, hey, we're just starting to climb and now we're starting to see some victories on the other end?
Yeah, I mean, I knew when I committed to Concordia, 4 or 5 years ago, I knew the program wasn't in the best spot. And, that's kind of what Foreman told me. And he was trying to turn the ship around. And even like the first year I got here, I think we were more competitive than they ever have. I think we had a losing record, but we were close to 500. The next year, got a lot of guys in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Team really turned around. I think we had a lot of wins that year. We just can't seem to have got over the hump. We made playoffs last 2 years, but lost in the first round. So I felt like we've been substantially climbing with like the talent and everything. And time wise, it's flying. It's just, It's gone so fast. It's crazy to think that I only got, hopefully more than 13 games, but only 13 more guaranteed games left in my career. So
I love Memorial Auditorium. What stands out to you about your home gym and playing there? What maybe we don't know that you really enjoy about playing there?
I think just the overall feeling of it being at home. I mean, for us, especially in the MIAC, we're by far, maybe Scholastic that's in Duluth, but we're by far the farthest team away from everybody. So when we get to play at home, it's special because we do have a lot of away games. Like, I want to say we've played maybe 3 home games this season and the rest have been away. So every time I can get a chance to play on that court in a real game, it's nice and special, especially since you don't have to take those long bus rides.
Okay, off of that then, what's the least favorite road trip you have in the MIAC? Let's do it. You're done after this year, so just put them on blast.
So it's actually the one we're going on this Saturday
to
St. Mary's in Winona, Wisconsin.
Okay.
No hate to St. Mary's, but it's about, I would say it's about 6.5 hours, somewhere like that. So we usually plan it on a Saturday, so we'll leave Friday, and then we'll all stay in the hotel, usually down in the cities, and then we'll make the trip from the cities to Winona and play Saturday and then come back.
How about what's your favorite road venue to play in? Like this, like the crowd is great, or man, they're right on. Like, is there one that stands out?
Yeah, we had a bad loss there earlier this year, but it's got to be St. John's, man. Every time I've played there, it's been just absolutely electric. They bring a great student section, loud venue. It's always packed. It's always usually a good competitive game. They're always really good, coach really well.
So you're from Ashby, which is a great basketball, that part of the world. Tell me about growing up and knowing the lineage of really good basketball players from around your neck of the woods.
So Ashby's tiny little 1A town. I was blessed to have an amazing class with me as well of athletes. You don't usually get that in 1A sometimes. Sometimes you're scrapping. But I had a great class full of a bunch of athletes that actually went on to play, other collegiate sports, none basketball, but other ones. So, I mean, growing up, I was going to basketball games since I was in second grade, cheering in the little stands where there's four bleacher rows on each side, right?
That's awesome.
It's crazy. I mean, when we were in high school, my team was pretty good. And, I mean, it doesn't take much to fill a little gym like that, but the whole town would come. It'd be packed. So just, I mean, I love Ashby, everything about it. So it was a great place to grow up, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Biggest rival in hoops is whom for you guys?
That's a tough one. It kind of changes. Brandon, Evansville. It's probably the closest. They're pretty tough. My time, we had a bunch of good times with Parker's Prairie. It was pretty good. So I don't know if I could pick a true rival, but that'd probably be one of those two if I had to pick.
So what sold you? Obviously, you're familiar with, not necessarily you played up here, but what sold you on Concordia that this is where you wanted to go?
I kind of actually had a later commitment than in my recruiting process than others. Coach Borman was probably one of the first ones on me to even believed in me to play college basketball, right? So always and he was just, I mean, he is a relentless recruiter. If he wants you, he texted me all the time, I would say a couple times a week, whereas these other coaches, they might reach out to me every once in a while. And then, and it being so close, he would always be like, especially after my senior year of basketball, he'd be like, all right, you want to come up for open gym tonight? So I'd come up, play with the guys. The guys would guest pass me swipes at their dining hall. So I'd get to eat. I'd sit down and eat with all of them. It's like, I wasn't even committed, but probably in the back of my mind, I knew I was probably going there. So I think just the overall environment, everything leading up to it was perfect. And I really saw myself being able to succeed in the role here. So
I got to ask, you mentioned, what are your majors again?
So I'm a nutrition dietetics major.
Holy cow.
With a minor in business, but
so
we'll see how the credits line up.
I was going to say, so what's the path? What are you hoping to do post-basketball, post-college?
So right now, looking into grad school next year. So I gotta figure out how everything works out. But right now, I can go to grad school at Concordia. They actually have a master's program there. But so it's about I think it's about 16 months of more schooling. Then it's about six months of practice, just practice work, and then you can take the RD exam to get registered as a dietitian.
Wow.
So
how did that come about? That's the path you wanted to go down?
I actually I wanted to go to Concordia as a nutrition major, but I was always kind of worried with basketball if I was gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
First year I went for just as a not really undeclared but more business esque. I think I was technically an accounting major. From the people that know me, I would never be a good accounting major. I talk way too much. I can't sit behind a desk like that. So I kind of talked to the nutrition people around, the counselors and stuff, and they were like, just give it a try. So I switched over, and ever since I've just absolutely loved it. So, and growing up, there's this little gym outside Ashby. It's under a church. So there's a church on top, and it's under a church, the gym. And that's where me and all my buddies used to lift weights and just hang out. That's where we hung out all the time in high school. So kind of found a love for lifting weights and nutrition there. So ever since then, it's been building.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate you doing this. Congratulations on the milestone. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks for giving us a few minutes this morning, okay?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Jacob Cook, senior from Concordia, now a member of the 1,500 Club for the Cobbers, only the fourth ever to do that from Ashby, Minnesota. Cobbs are having a pretty good year. We'll see what happens in the new year as MIAC play really gets going for them. That was good stuff. All right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a busy Sports Tuesday on tap. The Wolves are getting some national TV tonight. We'll tell you about it when Hot Mike wraps after this. Wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. BMZ's back tomorrow, buys the Media Zone. Looking forward to that. Potentially, one of the new NDSU football transfers also will be joining the show tomorrow. So that's coming up 9 to 11. All right, a couple things we didn't have time to get to. Going back to the championship game last night, and there was a bunch of other emails. We probably won't have time to all read them here. Dom, watch the block field goal. The blocker came around the end, not the middle. It would have been blocked no matter from where. Look at one blocker trying to block two guys. Also on Illinois State's first drive, they got to the 4th down and should have kicked the field goal there. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough to live with. To me, I'll go back to when we hammered in the first hour. The 4th down play, it's 4th and a yard. You go get it and win the football game. At least make it a shorter kick than what it was, because 38 yards for a redshirt freshman is asking an awful lot to me. For the TV nerds out there, we talked about this yesterday when we wrapped up the Vikings season, and we showed you the NFL playoff bracket. And I think there was some eyebrows raised. The Bears-Packers game got put on Amazon. Chicago Sun-Times is a really interesting story. The Sun-Times says has learned that all 5 NFL TV partners, CBS, ESPN, Fox, NBC, and Amazon, politic to carry Packers-Bears or 49ers-Eagles, viewed as the top 2 first-round matchups. The NFL's general principle is to put the biggest game in the time slot with the biggest viewership, which is 3:30 on Sunday. And they obviously decided to go with Amazon. Most of the discussion within the NFL, which has final say on the schedule, was about what to do with the other game. Normally we play it at 7 p.m. Sunday, but the NFL chose to lean into its burgeoning relationship with Prime Video Amazon. In the end, it granted the league's longest-running rivalry to its newest weekly partner for 7 o'clock on Saturday. Because I think on the outside, a lot of us thought Bills-Jaguars probably is going to be the Amazon game, and you're not gonna draw people to that. And Amazon's ratings were tremendous this year. They were really, really good. So people can complain. I'm sure there'll be the usual groans of it come Friday, like, where's the game on? But it's an outdated reaction now. People are finding it. People have it. That's what they were hoping for. The ratings for Amazon Prime games this year were great. They were up, had the best viewership in the 20-year history of Thursday Night Football. 15 million viewers, up 16% from last season. So the notion that people aren't going to go find it is not accurate. The Netflix games the Vikings game with the Lions on Christmas Day was a huge ratings boon. So this notion that, well, if you put the games on streaming, nobody's going to watch, that's not accurate, at least for the NFL. I can't say that for any other sports league because they do not apply. But for professional football, they are finding it. And I would anticipate that game on Saturday night will do awfully well for Amazon. There's no doubt about it. And frankly, you look at it, that Eagles-49ers game that's going to be played in the middle of the day Sunday will probably have a huge viewership number. To me, I'm a little surprised neither one of those games got on ESPN. I thought one of those two would be a Monday Night Football game, but they stuck with the 4-5, which they've done. This is the 3rd or 4th year, I think, of the Monday Night Wildcard game, and all the previous 3 have all been 4-5 matchups, like it was with the Rams and the Vikings last year, and they stuck with that. And the Steelers are always a good draw, no matter what. But that's the, at least to me, I find that interesting, and the behind-the-scenes working on. I would love if they would televise that, like the drafting of how they pick the games. Like the college football and NFL playoff, I would love that. To me, that would be great. Stream that. People would love to see it. At least I would. All right, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Again, a reminder, we've got wrestling for you tonight. A triangular going on in Kindred. Oaks, Hillsborough, Central Valley, and Kindred. Coverage begins at 5 o'clock. Girls wrestling followed by the boys. 5 o'clock here on WDAY Extra. Our first wrestling duel of the year to get ready for, scary to say, the state tournament is about 6 weeks away. It's, I can't say right around the corner, but it's coming, and you can check that out tonight here on Extra. Also going on tonight, the Timberwolves are back home, and on NBC tonight, they got the big channel. They take on the Miami Heat. Wolves have won a couple in a row. They're back home at Target Center, 7 o'clock on NBC. The Gophers are in action as well tonight at the Barn against ranked Iowa. Same time, 7 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Also, a pretty good ranked college basketball game tonight. Duke and Louisville, 6 o'clock on ESPN for that one. So a really good sports TV night coming up, despite the fact the football season is done. Our thanks to Jacob Cook, to Dave Richman, and Mike McFeely. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of the show on WDAY+. Thanks so much for spending part of your Tuesday with us. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching. See you then.